Hi, I'm Beth Shapiro, and I'm a social worker here at the David Simpson Hospice House. And I've been here for 12 years, and I love the inpatient facility. Being with patients and families at the end of life is so rewarding to me. The life enrichment activities we get to do are what really bring the greatest reward.
I'm Ann Marie, and I am a coordinator of volunteers here with Hospice of the Western Reserve at the David Simpson Hospice House. I started about 7 years ago as a volunteer. I loved volunteering. I loved being involved with the patients and families, as well as Beth had just said. And in the process of volunteering, I ended up working here. I believe in what we do. I love our mission, and that's what keeps me here, is the interaction we get with our patients' families. Beth and I got to do a really interesting thing, and I'm going to let Beth start the story. It was one of my favorite days here, and it's those moments that keep me here.
We really love to collaborate between the volunteer team and social work in trying to pull life enrichment activities together. And this was a great opportunity. Miss Betty and Mr. Nick had been married probably 60-some years, and he had lovingly cared for Miss Betty with end-stage Alzheimer's for years at home. She was here to die, and Mr. Nick was by her side all the time, barely taking care of himself because he was just so attuned and attentive to her. They had no children. They had Mr. Nick's brother and other supports, but it was really the two of them. Mr. Nick ended up having a heart attack and had to be kind of convinced to go across the street to Euclid Hospital, where he was admitted. And each day we would let Miss Betty know how he was and that he was thinking of her. She was unresponsive most of the time to us. But as he had to stay there longer, we really began to talk that these two people were so connected, they needed to be together somehow. So we were able to talk about going over to the unit and seeing if we could take this patient there to see her husband. So talked to our team leader. I approached Ann Marie to see if she would be willing to help with this and if we could get any other support for assistance. We got a bed from across the street at Euclid Hospital, pushed it across the street, hitting probably every pothole we could.
Through the parking lot.
While we were doing that, the staff here, the nursing assistants and nurse, were bathing Miss Betty, getting her all made up, telling her that she was going to go see her husband. And she knew it. She started to respond with eye movements. She seemed to have some recognition. We were able to transfer her over on the bed, and then we pushed her across the street. Ann Marie on one end, me on another, not driving very well.
Carefully.
And told her we're going across to see him. The look on the faces of the volunteers who sit at the desk at Euclid when we rolled in with the stretcher,
we rolled out
with the patient, they were like, can we help you? And we're like, no, we know exactly where we're going. The manager over at Euclid Hospital in the ICU knew we were coming, and Mr. Nick knew we were coming, but the look on his face when we rolled in with his wife, and he sat himself up in bed. He was attached to...
He tried to get over the rails to touch her.
Come right next to her.
He just kept touching her. And
we were able to pull her bed right next to his. The staff was just trying to get him comfortable and pull all his lines around, and he just embraced her and hugged her. The staff is crying. We're crying. They closed the curtain, and for an hour, they got to spend time just holding each other. And then we were able to bring her back. Mr. Nick couldn't have thanked us enough.
No, before we left, he said, I got to kiss her. And so our staff held her up so he could reach her, and he just kissed all over her face and touched her and told her he'd be back to see her.
And so we kind of wiped the tears out of her eyes so we could come back across the parking lot and bring her back. And sure enough, she surprised us all and lived till he got out of the hospital and was back by her side until she died.